Hello everybody, Jennifer Maker here. It's a beautiful day to learn how to sublimate on cotton and dark colors. Sublimation is so cool because it actually dyes the material that you're decorating. It creates crisp images and lasts for ages, but your item needs to have a good amount of polyester for the sublimation process to work. I recommend at least 65% polyester. Well, what if you want to put a sublimation print on a cotton t-shirt, maybe even a black shirt? It is possible, and I have several solutions for you. I'm even going to tell you how to get a full color design onto cotton with just an inkjet printer. So let's head on over to the craft table and I can show you how it all works. Sublimation is amazing and I just love the full color projects that I can make with it. But the need to use mostly polyester shirts is frustrating at times. I know I personally prefer cotton shirts. So today I'm going to teach you several different techniques for getting a full color sublimation design onto cotton, just as I've done here. Now the first way is to put your sublimation design onto iron-on vinyl, also known as heat transfer vinyl or HTV, as the vinyl surface is compatible with sublimation ink. So if you have a sublimation printer, you can just print designs onto sublimation paper and then use a heat press to transfer the image to several different kinds of heat transfer vinyl, as I have here. I'll show you how to use this technique on HTV like Cricut glow-in-the-dark iron-on vinyl, glitter HTV, Caesar EasySubli, and holographic HTV. Now, depending on the vinyl that you pick, you can even sublimate onto black shirts, which is usually really difficult since sublimation ink is transparent. I will show you the best combinations for the best black t-shirts. Another option to get sublimation designs onto cotton are to combine printed images with a sublimation spray like this one. You'll need a little foam roller to smooth out the spray and an hour or so for it to dry, but you don't have to layer anything with the spray technique. And if you don't even have a sublimation printer, but you want to try a similar approach, we'll also check out Caesar Easy Color DTV. DTV stands for direct to vinyl. Easy Color DTV is a printable heat transfer vinyl, so all you need is an inkjet printer. The Easy Color DTV and the EasySubli HTV both use their handy mask transfer tape, which is like transfer tape and heat resistant tape rolled into one. And no matter which technique you pick, I strongly recommend you make a set of my DIY t-shirt ruler guides before you start sublimating. These guides are super easy to make and they will help you get perfect alignment on your shirts every time you place a design. You can find the free SVGs and the tutorial over at jennifermaker.com/t-shirt ruler guide. Now, because these sublimation techniques all involve transferring the ink to another layer, which then goes onto your shirt, they work best if you use print then cut around the designs for a cleaner appearance. So I'll be using the print then cut feature on a Cricut cutting machine to create the sublimation designs today. So for this, you either need a Cricut Maker or Explore and either the blue light grip mat or a green standard grip mat, depending on the materials that you choose. Are you excited to learn all the tips I've come up to get sublimation designs onto cotton? We have done so many tests. I'm going to show you how to do each one from start to finish, so be sure to stay to the end because I'm also going to show you every shirt that I washed so you can see how well the sublimation ink stayed on it. Step 1. Find or get your sublimation designs. Sublimation printing requires high-quality design files for the best results. If you need some files to play with or just want some free designs, I have 5 fun sublimation designs in PNG format perfect for our cotton sublimation techniques. I have a retro Think Happy design, a colorful Hello Pumpkin design, a cute spooky cat design in black and white, and a spooky design in color, and a fun Trick or Treat design. To find my free sublimation designs, go to jennifermaker.com/432 and look for libraries in the red bar at the top. Then either click Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. You can find the designs on the page by searching for number 432 and then click it to download the zip file. There are many ways to print sublimation designs, but in this video, I'm going to show you how to print these out with Cricut Design Space so we can use their print then cut feature, as cutting around the design works best for several of our cotton sublimation techniques. So we'll upload the designs to Cricut Design Space. Note that the Cricut Design Space software shows PNG files very large, but it's easy to fix and I'll show you how. So today I'm going to make the happy PNG design using a Cricut and different combinations of materials. But you can use these steps for anything in the collection or totally different sublimation designs. I'll also show you how to use my handy and free t-shirt ruler guides. You can download them from my free library at jennifermaker.com/library under design number 433. They're easy to prepare, so make a set to have on hand if you'd like. Step 2. Prepare your sublimation design. All of these methods follow a similar preparation process, so I'm going to start by uploading the file to Cricut Design Space. If you're not sure how to do this, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to unzip and upload files. For PNGs, use the same upload steps until you reach a screen with the PNG on the left. Select Complex for the image type and then click Continue in the lower right corner. You don't need to do anything on the next screen, so click Apply and Continue. For upload type, select Print then Cut and click Upload. You should now see your design in your recent uploads. Select it and click Add to Canvas. The next steps depend on the tools and materials that you'd like to use. First, we'll look at using different heat transfer vinyls, then sublimation spray, and finally the DTV technique. One of the easiest ways to sublimate on cotton is to add a layer of heat transfer vinyl to the fabric and then sublimate the image onto the vinyl surface. It's the right material for the job. I tested this technique using holographic vinyl, white glitter vinyl, and glow-in-the-dark iron-on vinyls, as well as Caesar's EasySubli HTV. The processes are pretty similar, but I'll point out any differences along the way. Sublimation spray and the Easy Color DTV are different than this, so we'll look at those separately. So back in Cricut Design Space, here's what my Think Happy design looks like on the canvas. You can zoom out to see all of the design by clicking on the minus sign on the lower left. As you can see, this design is huge. That's because of the way Cricut Design Space uploads high-quality, high-resolution PNGs. We need to make it fit within the print then cut dimensions, however, which are 6 3/4 of an inch by 9 1/4 of an inch at the time I'm making this video. To resize the design, make sure the lock icon is closed at the top. Then type 6.75 in the width field under size and press enter. The height will change to about 5 3/4 of an inch. Next, we need to make a second layer, which will cut out of the HTV. Click Duplicate above the Layers panel. Under the Operation menu's Cut options, select Basic. The shape will turn gray. Now your design layers are ready to cut. Step 3. Cut your sublimation design. Make sure the correct machine is selected and then click Make It in the upper right corner of Cricut Design Space. If you're prompted, click On Mat and 12 by 12 on the pop-up and click Confirm. On the Prepare screen, make sure your first mat says Print then Cut and your second mat says Basic Cut. Check that the material size for your first mat is 8.5 by 11 and your second mat is the size of your vinyl. Click the toggle under Mirror to make it green and turn on Mirror for both mats. That will print the image and cut the vinyl so it looks backward, but when we apply it to our shirt surface face down, the end result will be correct. Then click Continue in the lower right. Click the green Send to Printer button to open the Print Setup window. Make sure your printer is listed. We don't need to add a bleed, that's an extra design area to help with precise cutting. But make sure the slider next to Use System Dialog is turned on and green. Then click Print. The print screen for your printer will appear, but it might be hidden behind Cricut Design Space's window. So move or minimize your Cricut window to see the print settings window. Your window will look different depending on your computer and your printer. Make sure your printer is listed in the window. Set the paper and print quality to the best matte options available. So my settings are presentation paper matte and high quality. Also, make sure that if you see anything called flip horizontally, usually under layout, make sure it's unchecked since we already mirrored the design in Cricut Design Space. And you'll want to select your ICC profile as well if you've installed one. Now make sure your sublimation paper is in your sublimation printer correctly and print. And if you're new to sublimation printing or feeling confused about all this mention of sublimation printers, paper, ink, and ICC profiles, be sure to check out my Sublimation for Beginners guide over at jennifermaker.com/sublimation for beginners. It will explain all of this. After your sublimation design has printed, set it aside until the ink is completely dry to avoid any smears during the cutting process. See the black box around my design? This is called a registration box and is used by your Cricut machine to tell it exactly where to cut your project. On your Make screen, set the Print Then Cut mat to Copy Paper 32 pound with default pressure. Place your printed sheet on your blue light grip machine mat just like it is on the screen. Lay a clean piece of printer paper over the top of your sublimation design to protect your print, and then use a brayer to adhere it well. Remove the top paper, check that your fine point blade is clean, and ink clamp B. Then load the mat with your printed sheet into the machine and press the flashing button to cut your design. When the cut is finished, unload the mat, flip it over, and roll it back to release the paper. This helps prevent the material from curling or ripping or tearing because copy paper is pretty light and fragile and that can happen, but this helps it not happen. Place your iron-on vinyl. I'm using holographic iron-on vinyl here, shiny side down, on a green standard grip machine mat and adhere it well with a brayer. And then follow the same steps to cut and remove your vinyl. Step 4, sublimate your design onto a cotton shirt. Here's what the cut pieces for my HTV sublimation projects look like. I have holographic vinyl, glitter vinyl, and glow-in-the-dark vinyls. I'll show you the EasySubli HTV process after we finish these. First, let's do holographic HTV on white cotton. Again, the processes are similar, but let's start with the holographic vinyl. Since this vinyl isn't totally solid, you'll get different results depending on the color of your shirt. But the shininess really makes it a special result. So first, trim away the excess HTV and weed the design. And remember, ventilation is important when sublimating, so turn on a fan and open a window. So heat up your heat press and set it to the correct temperature and time. I'm using the Cricut Auto Press, so I want to set it to 380 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'll use a 10-second preheat. To find the settings for your press, visit the Cricut Heat Guide at jennifermaker.com/easypress or check your heat press manual. Lint roll your shirt to remove any debris that will interfere with the sublimation design. When the machine comes to the right temperature, fold the shirt in half the long way, just like this, and press it for 10 seconds to remove moisture and create a central crease that we'll use for alignment. Now open the shirt and slide a piece of clean white cardstock inside to prevent ink bleed through at the design sides. Then, if you're using a t-shirt ruler, which I recommend, line it up with the center line on the crease, just below the collar seam. Now your design will be placed in the standard spot for a t-shirt of this size and style. Use the ruler to add the vinyl to the shirt with the clear carrier facing up. Remove the t-shirt ruler and cover the whole area with clean butcher paper. Heat the design for 5 seconds to tack on the HTV. Remove the butcher paper and let the design cool slightly. Peel up the carrier sheet while it's still warm. Next, place your sublimation print face down on top of the HTV and use heat-resistant tape to secure it. Make sure the edges match. Place clean butcher paper on top of the whole area. Heat the design at 380 degrees Fahrenheit for 40 seconds. Remove the butcher paper, then let the design cool to avoid ghosting. Remove the tape and paper to reveal your design. For the next option, we can sublimate on a black cotton shirt since white glitter vinyl is solid and it won't interfere with colors. Glitter HTV uses the same process as the holographic vinyl. But once you peel back the sublimation paper, look at the result. Isn't this cool? For a solid sublimation surface with a surprise, the Cricut glow-in-the-dark iron-on vinyl is perfect. The steps are the same as the previous heat transfer vinyl products, but press your sublimation design for 60 to 80 seconds this time. This shirt will look great day or night. EasySubli HTV is a bit different than the other materials that we just tried. It's specifically designed to use with sublimation projects. It also has a special mask material that is like transfer tape, but it's heat resistant. So it also keeps the vinyl in place when you tack it on. And since it's solid white, you can add designs to any color fabric. The preparation process is very similar to the normal HTV techniques. So back in Cricut Design Space on the Prepare screen, make sure that your first mat says Print Then Cut and your second mat says Basic Cut. Check that the material size for your first mat is 8.5 by 11 and your second mat is the size of your EasySubli. Mine is 8.4 inches by 11 inches. Then select your first mat again and click the toggle under Mirror to make it green. That will print the image so it's backwards, but when we apply it to the surface face down, the end result will be correct. But you do not want to mirror the other layer since we'll use the mask material to transfer it to the shirt. In this way, it's similar to adhesive vinyl, so only mirror the Print Then Cut layer. Use the same settings to cut the printed design. For the second mat, set it to Everyday Iron-On with more pressure. Place the EasySubli shiny side down on a green standard grip machine mat. Adhere it well with the brayer. Follow the same steps as before to cut and remove your vinyl. Here's what the cut pieces for my EasySubli design look like. Next, trim away the excess EasySubli and weed the design. Then grab your EasySubli mask. It's similar to transfer tape, but it's heat resistant. I like to bend my mask with both sides up into a taco shape or a U shape, and then apply it to the vinyl from the center outward. This minimizes bubbles and creases. And be sure to use the scraper to smooth it out too, and then set it aside for now. Turn on your heat press and set it to the correct temperature and time. For my Cricut AutoPress, that's 380 degrees Fahrenheit with a 10-second preheat. Lint roll your shirt just like before. When the machine comes to the right temperature, fold the shirt and press it for 10 seconds. Then open the shirt back up and slide a piece of clean white cardstock inside to prevent ink bleed through at the design's sides. Line up the t-shirt guide with the crease and use the mask to peel the EasySubli from its backer. Then use the guide to add the vinyl to the shirt with the mask facing up. Remove the guide and cover the whole area with clean butcher paper. Heat the design for 5 seconds to tack on the EasySubli. Then remove the butcher paper and let the design cool slightly. Peel up the mask sheet while it's still warm. Next, place your print face down on top of the EasySubli and use heat-resistant tape to secure it. Make sure the edges match. Place clean butcher paper on top of the whole area. Heat the design at 380 degrees Fahrenheit for 40 seconds. Remove the butcher paper and then let the design cool to avoid ghosting or blurring. Remove the tape and paper to reveal your design. And if you want to save a few steps, sublimation spray can take the place of HTV on cotton in some cases. And since the spray moves with the fabric, you won't have a big piece of vinyl on your shirt. It creates a much softer result. To do this, just follow the same steps to print then cut your design on sublimation paper. Remember to mirror the design on the prepare screen. And then in a well-ventilated area, protect your surface with butcher paper and lay the shirt flat face up. Spray an even coat of sublimation spray over the t-shirt where you want to add the design. Use the foam roller to roll over the area to spread the spray evenly. Let the shirt sit for about an hour until it's dry to the touch. Heat your press to 380 degrees Fahrenheit and set a timer for a 10-second preheat. We won't crease the t-shirt this time since the spray is already on the shirt. Place white cardstock inside to prevent any bleed through. Cover the shirt with white butcher paper and preheat it for 10 seconds. Now place the printed image face down into the correct position on a shirt, and remember a t-shirt ruler helps a lot here, and secure it with heat-resistant tape. Remove the t-shirt ruler if you used one, then cover everything with fresh butcher paper and press for 35 seconds. Take off the butcher paper, then let it cool and remove the excess paper and tape. What a beautiful result! If you have a color inkjet printer but not a sublimation printer, this technique might be right for you. Caesar's Easy Color DTV isn't really sublimation, but it creates a similar result. It's a special vinyl that you can print right on with your inkjet printer. And since DTV doesn't require a second layer, you can prepare the print and cut file just like you did for the sublimation spray. So back in Cricut Design Space on the Prepare screen, make sure your mat says Print and Then Cut and that it's sized to 8.5 by 11. You don't need to mirror this project. Click Continue in the lower right, and just like with the other things that we've done in this video, set up the design to print. Again, don't mirror the image, set the paper to plain and the quality to best. The Caesar Easy Color DTV paper has a white side and a light gray side. The white side is the one you want to print on. So put the paper in the printer correctly and then press print. Now, since the print comes out of the printer dry, you can place the print on a blue light grip machine mat right away, cover it with a clean piece of paper for extra protection if you like, and use a brayer to adhere it. Set the material to heat transfer non-Cricut and the pressure to more. Cut and remove the design just as I showed you before. Trim the excess vinyl and weed the surrounding area. And then use my taco method to place a sheet of EasySubli mask over the design. And by taco method, I mean bend your mask in a U shape or taco shape, and then press the bottom of the taco to your design and spread outward from that point. Transfer the design to the mask with a scraper. Now set your heat press to 310 degrees Fahrenheit and the time to 10 seconds. Lint roll your shirt to remove any debris. Crease and preheat the shirt for 10 seconds. Open up the shirt flat. Place the print on the shirt and use a t-shirt ruler if you have one. And you want the mask on top so you can see the design. Cover the area with butcher paper and press for 15 seconds. Remove the butcher paper and peel the carrier sheet off immediately as it's a hot peel material. And that's all there is to it. So the whole point of sublimating on cotton or dark surfaces with one of these techniques is to be able to keep the design without it washing out, right? So we washed all of these shirts so we could compare the results. They were all washed inside out in cold water and dried on low heat. And that's important, because sublimation happens at high heat. So here is the Caesar EasySubli HTV shirt before washing and after washing. You can see that it still looks pretty amazing. And here is the glitter iron-on vinyl shirt before washing and after washing. You can see a little bit of fading here. And here is the glow-in-the-dark iron-on vinyl shirt before washing and after washing. This also has a little bit of fading, but it's not too bad. Here is the holographic iron-on vinyl shirt before washing and after washing. It didn't fade, but it came out of the dryer a little rumpled and had a few creases. Here is the Sublimation spray shirt before washing and after washing. This has a ton of fading. I promise I followed the directions too. And here is the Easy Color DTV shirt before washing and after washing. It didn't fade, but it is so rumpled that it doesn't look good anymore, in my personal opinion. The best result overall for color and clarity would be the EasySubli HTV. It's on the expensive side, but it really has the best results. I personally like the rainbow holographic. I think it looks amazing. I hope you'll try sublimating on cotton and share your photos with us. I have a group just for sublimation crafting where you can share all of your sublimation projects and get help and tips from other crafters who love to sublimate too. Come join us at jennifermaker.com/sublimation group to ask questions, share ideas, and get inspired. It is an awesome group. Now, if you have any questions about sublimating on cotton that didn't get answered here or anything else craft related that I might be able to help you with, let me know. Leave your question below this video or you can ask over in our awesome group. And that's it for today. Until next time, this is Jennifer Maker reminding you to craft a life you love.